Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase. Today's episode 12 of our speed builds. I'm so excited. This one's a fun one. We're doing the Grand Victorian Craftsman. Yes, so what this one is fun because it's big. It basically took that little Acorn Grove house, you know, the one that was like, man. Yeah, and it like flipped it upside down. So now it's huge, it's wide, it has a pool. There's a lot to look at. There's a ton to do. There's amenities for young and old. There's a giant kitchen, the biggest I've ever made. Yes, you'll see that come together here in a second. So, without further ado, if you could, please like and subscribe in the links below. And stay proud. Go out and do something magical. And let's go ahead and dive in now.
So I'm just looking around and I'm like, oh, holy smokes, this house. There was this thing online about how folks are just like underwhelmed with this house. And I felt bad because like the house is nice. It's just very plain. And when I look at this lot, I plopped this on a rather large lot and I'm like, yeah, we have a lot of opportunity here to really make it something really special. And kind of utilize the original footprint to an extent, but then just make everything bigger and more dramatic. So I spin around, really get a good look at everything that's kind of around, and I'm like, wow, there's quite a bit of stuff here that's actually like a really neat inspiration. So I just immediately start chunking out, as I usually do, on the plan. But when I saw this, I thought of like having a really neat, like converting it to more of like a what they call the pop and chop or whatever idea with the house. Basically, you know, where you just take the house and chop off the back or whatever and then do an addition and that kind of thing. And when I saw, I was like, oh, it'd be fun to do some real gables here and to make it sort of like a Victorian house meets Craftsman style. So maybe, you know, somebody's uncles or something got together and built this house back in the old days when, you know, houses would actually come on train cars. So I thought that it'd be really fun to be able to kind of pay homage to that a little bit here with this lot and to kind of give it a little bit of historic charm. So I really thought of how this front end could really be a neat focal feature for it and to really bring home that Victorian vibe. So at first it took me a moment to kind of decide what I wanted the exterior facade to be. So you're going to see a little bit of changes here and there on that. And it's really fun because I love being able to go in and just kind of morph things as my brain moves. So you're going to see like the ideas come together a little bit, like the central, like what it looks like right now is a silo, but it's just one of the little parlors. And then I look at it and I'm like, this is shrimpy. I could make it way bigger if I just kind of modify the plan a tad. So you'll see as it goes along, you'll see it get it evolve beyond kind of what it is right now. Because that's kind of the way my brain works, is I just kind of put an idea down and then I just start kind of evaluating it as it goes along, and then I'm not afraid to make major changes halfway through my build. Like I've even decorated some houses before I got them partially decorated and realized like things don't really fit or it's not shaping up to the way I wanted it to be. So then I just go in and really start morphing it there towards the final end. So you'll kind of see that a little bit with this house just because I keep improving upon my central idea of kind of that old Victorian charm. And I really want it to have a feel of, and at first it was almost feeling a little farmhousey, and that wasn't really what I was going for with those dormers. So that's when I kept playing with the dormer idea more and more and more until we fine-tuned it down to what we have now, which are those really big dramatic sort of like portico looking bump outs that don't actually have like any, all of that open space. It doesn't actually go out anywhere. They're like Juliet balcony kind of things, but I thought that'd be a fun little piece of architecture. And I really wanted to do like the stacked roof stuff. I really like being able to stack roofs and to kind of give it a really neat dramatic effect. And with Victorian houses, there are a lot of odd angles and high pitches and things like that, because sometimes like the plan is just not really a plan, but more of a concept or an idea. And then it's like whatever way it is when they're just done working on it. So you'll see like, you know, odd angles and maybe peculiar roof areas. And unfortunately, a lot of the really historic ones are known for leaking if they've not been properly maintained, and regular roof maintenance and all that, like very significant regular roof maintenance, because otherwise those odd angles can sometimes lead to leaks in certain areas because they're not quite pitched as well. Because, you know, back then you didn't really have an engineer degree or anything. You just kind of went with the materials you had and just went with it. So I thought that this would be really fun to kind of think about that idea here with this. And so now I'm kind of changing the pitches up a little bit more, getting kind of that idea down. And then I already grew out the parlor sort of thing, which later on you'll see kind of grow a little bit more. And it's fun because in the third floor there, which is kind of tucked above the second floor, it's fun, but that little area I have in like this bedroom, and then it's just got this big like open area because I exposed like the whole pitch of that roof right there above the octagon. I exposed that plus the fourth floor, so you can literally look up and see like all of this going on. And there's a lot of opportunity for windows, and then a lot of opportunity for different lighting options as well in that. So people could really take this design and kind of make it what they want it to be as well. It's almost like a shell in a way, because it's just, there's a lot of different possibilities with this sort of idea. You could take it down if you wanted shorter, or you could go and make it even a little bigger, or you could use each of the octagons for different things. And then I just kind of start showing you guys different options of windows, and I just kind of went with my favorite. I ended up going with the ones at the end that just had the, you know, all together big windows, because I was thinking making a little more modern and having the big windows, so then it's just floor to ceiling windows on every layer, and making that more of like a feature of windows in different ways than to actually have, like, we don't really have stained glass, or I would have just used stained glass in those, because a lot of times those are like where all of the art, they have just like this plain box house, and then they throw all the architectural art and detail into that little like octagon space for like the parlor. So this is kind of the beginnings of where it starts finalizing on the actual facade area. So you'll see here it kind of shape up, and I really wanted to kind of play into that Victorian vibe a little bit, and that sort of original Romanesque design, you know, where they have the really top peaks, and then they have like the little spires and things like that on them too. And I wanted to just kind of make them a little more simplified, because I mean, a lot of them are missing now these days because of wind and that kind of thing, but you could always put in more if you really wanted. Like, that's the fun thing about this, is that you could keep adding on to this house and doing kind of what you want. So I really wanted to give people a good start and kind of give them a lot of breadcrumbs in terms of design ideas, and then kind of use cases for each of the different spaces. So now I'm livening up the grass quite a bit, as I usually do. So that's where I go and kind of do different textures and colors of the different types of grass. So now we're back in and just kind of going through. And this is when I looked at the plan and was like, we could make this bigger. So now the octagon's coming out and becoming what it is now, which is much larger. Because before you really couldn't fit anything in it, and I was looking at it, I was like, that just looks so shrimpy compared to our huge house at this point. So I really just kind of made that a lot bigger, so that the porch was more dramatic and interesting and useful and really pop it out. But then at the same point, then I was like, oh, there's another design challenge. Now I have to fit stairs without sacrificing any extra space from the backyard, because I could have like moved the house back a little, but I was like, no, I'm not doing that because then my pool will have to shrink. So I ended up going with the idea of just kind of bumping out the porch in a couple places that made sense, that had a little extra space. And so here's where you're kind of seeing different options for roofs. Again, there's a lot of different roof options you could use. I had went with the glass, but then it was just looking really funky and I wanted more detail. So then that's when I went to metal for the spires, and then also then for the roof over top of the like Victorian element, that octagon room, the portico or rotunda, even, like whatever you want to call it. So there's another set of different options for windows. It's just really whatever you want to make it. And sometimes when I design houses too, I'll like put a bunch of things on and then look at it and take a couple things off, just because I kind of put a lot of ideas together and then kind of go on from there. So at first I had only put those long windows on the first level, and then I was like, ooh, this could really be a really neat opportunity to use a lot of fun windows. So this was giving me a little bit of trouble at first because I was getting so like bugged, because like the game kept like messing with me on the roof, because I really was like just wanting to get that little patio area made over that, and it took a moment. So you're seeing here me like having to mess with that, and then I ended up coming up with a different idea to do it. So basically what I did is I ended up making it a room. So I ended up having to make it a room off to the side. That's what you see there. And then I dropped it in on top of my hole, and then that made it to where I could actually like get rid of the roof problem. Like that was a weird bug. Like that was so annoying, because I just wanted to remove the roof right there, but it kept like peeking out and sticking out, and I'm like, no, this needs to be cutting off. But like there's like a weird cutoff bug on The Sims that kind of bugs me a little bit. So it'd be fantastic, you know, if somebody could ever like repair that and get it fixed, because sometimes there's like these little glitches that are just like and then I hope someday they do let us stack windows, like, you know, to a wall tile, because we could make so many more different options with the content we have if we're just able to stack things more. And then if the roofs, you know, kind of cut away properly like they would in real life, because sometimes I would use trim, but the problem is that the trim doesn't cut off where it should cut off. If you use the like extender for like the roof trim, and then the extender that kind of does your roof, the eaves, you know, that like part in between like your wall to like the world, basically right there, you've got that little spot right there. So it's really should just cut off, you know, and not extend across down the wall, but it does for some reason, and it's kind of goofy. So yeah, if I can pick one thing, that would be one of them to kind of fix. So now I'm getting the stairwells worked out and getting all of that kind of together, because I wanted them to feel grand, and I like being able to butt up the steps together, because I think it just kind of gives it a unique vibe and kind of that, again, grand feel that I've been really shooting for with this house. And I've had some friends that are like, oh wow, like I never really thought of doing that with the stairs, like making like a Titanic-esque styled sort of staircase, you know, where it's very grand, and like, you know, you have a like Hollywood, you know, rom-com moment where, you know, it's like, kiss me. Yeah, so you're wearing that lovely dress, and, you know, your maid of honor's coming down, you know, and you're just like coming down the stairs and then turning and then coming down, and it's so dramatic, and all these bubbles and flowers and everything are going, and then somebody trips and falls, and it's like, oh no. So that's kind of what I want in this house. So now I'm building out the bedroom, like space for the eaves, and chunking out all of my bedrooms and getting everything kind of together for the floor plan so that we can move on to like the decorating and all that kind of stuff. Because this house, I spent quite a bit of time like just methodically going through it and deciding what I wanted it to kind of end up being at the very end in the design. So it took a bit for me to really, finalize and set up those ideas. And so this part of it, I really wanted to keep like some of the things from that original house, but then I ended up just having to get rid of a lot of it because it didn't quite fit in this style. But I did kind of bring back a lot of the purposes and idea of like making it a family home. So I went through and moved that bathroom so then I could pop in that kitchen back there, because in the old houses back in the day, you'd have the kitchens kind of towards the back, and a lot of people, like to build them towards the front. But in this one, because I wanted it to be so big, I wanted it to start in the back and then work towards the middle. So once you walk in, there's like the little area, depending on which door you come in. So you're gonna see like the little area, the parlor area sort of place, and you're gonna turn, and then there's gonna be like the kitchen and all the major stuff there. And then on the other way that you come in, it's just gonna kind of be right there towards you. But then of course it's like on the other end of the house, so then you've got to walk all the way across there. So it just kind of depends. But this is more of like what I would think of a design for an open concept. If I were to get one of these houses and have it, it would be like, this is how I want to maybe do it, because then you're kind of reutilizing a lot of the original plumbing locations, because a house like of this size that you're kind of amplifying would definitely have a price tag. So this one on The Sims is on just under 500,000 simoleons, and you can get it on the gallery now. So now I'm just showing different kinds of options too. People could take this in a variety of ways in terms of like what they would want to do with the design colors and things like that, because there's just so much versatility and this much space. Playing with the clutter, getting all that kind of together. And I was thinking about maybe doing uppers, but because there are so many base cabinets, I just didn't do uppers this time. And I really like being able to have windows. So I'd rather sacrifice upper cabinets to have a lot of windows if I was to be able to actually build a space. Because, I mean, you just have, like, if you have that many, then there's, like, you're pretty much having the normal amount of cabinets that you have in an upper and lower, like, medium-sized kitchen. So I'm getting in the rest of this seating area, kind of bringing it all together. And about midway through, I'll start adding in all of the exterior lighting. And then you could even do those flower boxes. I decided not to at first, and then I kind of changed my mind towards the end and decided to go ahead and put them in some places because I really like them. I just wasn't sure like how country it would make it feel, and I really like that design of the houses, but for this one it's like I wanted to keep it more like a like suburban or exo-urban like medium town sort of like house. So I didn't want to go like too much with like that kind of design element. Cool. So then the next one, I'm coming around and just kind of getting the entry there by the parlor done. And at first I started putting in flowers everywhere. And then I'm like, I kind of pulled myself back a little bit on that because I felt like it was starting to get a little too cluttered. Cool. So here's all this going in. Then you gotta make sure that you put in all your important necessities, like your thermostat, your smoke detector, and then your fire preventer thing that lets your sprinkler system go off. Because if you don't do that, then your house might burn down, or all your objects might burn down, or everybody that you've been playing with for the last several months, weeks, days, years, what have you, might just like accidentally die from a fire. So be really careful about that. And that's the thing, like some people like to really stack objects in kitchens and to make them look really cool. But then you have to be careful because sometimes it might lead to the appliance breaking more easy, I've noticed. I don't know if it's a reason that they maybe don't want us to do that or that it's just a bug or something, but I've noticed that things might start malfunctioning more often if like you do like a built-in fridge where it's like around some cabinet. And then also you might have an issue where it just kind of goes and messes up a little bit. Like it'll work, but then the problem is that like if it's a stove and you put too many things around the stove, all those things will catch fire. And same with the fireplace. So you just have to be real careful because it's like kind of like real life. So if you were building in a fireplace into a cabinet, in real life, that would likely just catch fire on you. So it kind of works like that way in the game. So you have to just kind of be careful when you put things, stack things, and kind of think about if it might actually affect your long-term gameplay, because some things might look neat, like, but then they may not work, or if they do work, then it's, you know, kind of a maintenance issue as well, maybe. So just be careful on that. Because I kind of learned that when I started stacking a lot of things in the kitchen and clustering a lot of things around my stoves. So you kind of got to watch about all the clutter near your stove and that kind of stuff, because that might just catch fire. So now I'm getting the exterior kind of finished up here in the front and getting all of our fans and extra lighting out there. And I didn't want to cover the house too much, so I made sure to just put down like littler size trees, that kind of thing, like as if somebody just came in and re-landscaped. And so now we have like our little insect farms and bees, that kind of stuff. And then I did all these solar panel things. This was a little bit of a tricky mess too. So I played with those for a moment and finally got them in. And then I think later on, like something happened, and so like a couple of them vanished or something. But they're what it has now, like should be enough to sustain the house, which is at least what I was going for. Okay, cool. So now I'm just getting out the upper levels, just kind of go ahead and piecing those out so that there's just a lot of definition to the plan now at this point. And now you'll start seeing everything come together pretty quickly. And then, of course, I'm like having this other weird roof issue that I have to overcome. So it would be great if someday they could really start working out that issue with the roofs, and then also have the solar panels come together on that. So now the exterior is shaping up to about what it is at final at this point. Okay, cool. So now this is the third floor, which had that tricky like dormer bedroom, and those are tricky in The Sims, I'll tell you. So it takes a little bit of effort right now. Hopefully someday, you know, they really kind of work on that a little bit, but it's well worth it. The end result's pretty neat, being able to have a more realistic house, but it does take some finagling with all of the roof tools to really make it work. And then of course like your room tool. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going around and getting the rest of all of the fixings done basically at this point. So now I'm assembling all of my bathrooms on this second level, getting all of those put together. This is really good though. I really was happy to kind of build this one because I felt like it was going to have a lot of use, and there's just a lot of space here to be able to raise like a whole family of people or Sims. So in like real life, you could definitely have like a big family in this house and be comfortable, but still have that really neat like historic charm. And then I love vanities. So that's another big thing that you're really gonna see, is that I'm just like super, super thrilled and happy about vanities in real life because it's just a lot of storage and it gives you that spa-like feel. And so it's just really fun to be able to, use sconces and play with lighting, and then, go on with the mirrors and then the vanities to pull it all together. So I mix a lot of different things together for the vanities, that kind of stuff. And that bathroom I thought would be really fun to get sort of botanical feel. So it's got some plants in it. And each bathroom I just kind of wanted to give its own vibe to play off the bedrooms that I was thinking of. And a lot of times I'll actually do the bathrooms and then kind of make a bedroom that goes similar with the bathroom design, or plays off of that a little bit, because a lot of times that'll end up giving me a lot of like ideas and different sort of things in my brain that go like, hey, go with this idea. And now I'm doing the laundry room as well, kind of getting that into, and all of our stuff for the laundry room. And then I'm pulling together a lot of decoration stuff at this point. So you're just seeing decorations coming like everywhere at this point. And so more lighting I'm noticing on the first floor, and then just kind of getting the rest of the decor stuff in the laundry room, the storage, a must. So now we get storage, all the cluttery things. Cool. Alrighty, and I really wanted to give that bathroom like a beachy vibe, because it's like the one that everybody's gonna use. Cool. And then I just kind of placing artwork and things like that in. And I decided to make this little area, because it was like small, make it like just a little game area, like a teen/adult area, depending on what you're doing. Because we have the bubble blower over there, and then you also have like that llama game. No, I think it's like a peg game. I'm not quite sure, but I think that's what it is. It's something like either Jenga or something like that. Oh, and then I ran out of money, and this was the funny part too. I was like, oh shoot, because I was in build mode, but because I had Sims within that house living there, when you're in build mode, then instead of having an infinite budget, of course you have the budget of the Sim. So I ran out of money, and then it wouldn't work with the cheats to get money. So then I had to fail and then go back in, and it was really goofy. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so silly that I have to like just kind of keep myself at a really tight budget like this. Like I could build on a budget, but it never comes out that exciting or nice or big. You have to make a really tiny house, and you have to sparsely decorate, just like real life. Like it's just like real life in a lot of ways with that. So that's where I like bailed and then came back. I'm like, oh great, that's like not gonna work. See, because then I burned through 175,000 in simoleons really fast, because I'm doing all the bedrooms at this point. So I like it like being like sort of a surprise. So it's at night, so then I start adding in the lighting, so then you start seeing all the decorations come alive. So I like adding the light towards the end, because then it's like, oh, and there's more, and there's more. And each of the bedrooms I kind of gave that, unique style and design. That one at first I was like, this bed's a little too much for the size of the room. So I did flip that. But I thought this would be a really fun, like a funky room that's like playing off the botanical room next door. So it feels like nice and like calm and tranquil on this side. And the other one feels like an Amazon bathroom almost. It's like very, jungle-esque, But then, of course, I ran into issues with trying to fit any dressers in, because I really wanted like a work area. So this could be for like a teen or somebody, a young adult that needs like a work-at-home area too. And then that one I wanted to make more like the pinkish tones, and just use it as though it's like just a little more feminine touches and detail, and to kind of make it feel like grandma's space or auntie's space. Cool. And now I'm just getting the last of this bathroom decorated too, because I was just like, oh, this is really fun to play with. Like, and there's so many mirror options and ways to configure this. And I was just like kind of waffling a little bit on that. And I'm like, which way do I want to go on this? Okay, yes, this makes sense. Cool. Yep. And now I'm coming down around here, getting this bathroom together. And then over here at this one. And then around here, above there. And then over here, I get these last two bedrooms done. These come together pretty quickly because I just immediately knew what I wanted this one to be. I wanted to feel like a dorm on one side, and then the other side, I wanted it to be like a really large, like a larger master. So maybe that's for like the youngest kid over there that might just be like a senior in high school or somebody, and they're just, you know, enjoying life and need like an area to kind of call their own outside of the greater house. And it's like low maintenance and easy to take care of. But then this one I wanted to feel like more of like a modern Victorian idea. With that, like, and bring home like that Craftsman vibe again. Yep, and now I'm just getting on the last of the decor in there. And I really love those like goofy lamps. They're so funny. I think they're like the lava lamp or something. Llama lamp. Cool. Give him a guitar and all that kind of stuff. Got something to do. Cool. So now I'm just kind of taking a peek around, looking at everything, seeing what's missing. Maybe toss in some extra things. So we have like that DJ area over there in that room. I'm just kind of going around looking at everything in this area. So now we're getting like the little kids area done. So I made the little attic area for kids and to kind of just let your kids run around and go play. There's a lot of opportunity with this floor plan to kind of do whatever you want. It could be a crafting area, you know, as they become empty nesters, they could definitely use these areas for a lot more stuff. So I wanted to put like pets up here and I wanted to put the kids up there. So you could just tell everybody go up to the attic, get out of my hair. So they're all up there ready to go. All the stuff. Go have at it. Now I'm getting the exterior lighting finalized up here on the roof, towards the roof area, because I really wanted it to be a fun showpiece. Because a lot of the really old Victorian houses I've seen, like in rural, like Indiana, for instance, and even suburban Indiana here, I've just seen a lot of really, really cool houses that have those really neat, like Juliet balconies on the bump outs, and it gives them like almost like a gingerbread house sort of vibe. Like it's what we would call them. It's like the gingerbread houses, but they're really like old Victorian. So now I'm just kind of finalizing the plans of these bathrooms, getting those pieces done, because that's in part of, this is all in that dormer and like bump out area within like the attic space of that floor. And it's like basically sort of the connector over to the parlor area, which on this level is fun because it becomes a fitness area. I wanted this to be like more of like an amenities area with a bedroom. Like a big bedroom with 3 closets. Yes. So there's our bed. I threw that in. And then this side, over here, actually, this is a bedroom. Yeah, sorry. So the other floor, on the next floor we're going to see here in a moment, you're going to see it come together, but it's really neat. It's, gives us plenty of room for like a whole fitness area. So this is still, yeah, there you go. There you go. See, so that's the giant bedroom right there that just has like all kinds of stuff. And it's got one of those pod beds. so that you could like really hang out and literally hang out and like levitate or whatever in bed. I think that's kind of a neat idea. So like futuristic or whatever it does. But so then I ran out of money again. So then I had to bump myself up again. So now I'm up to almost, I think it's like 300 at this point, 350, maybe 4. Yeah, it's like 350, almost 400 at this point. Because I had a little bit of money left after I was done. I was like, okay, here. This is what I think would make sense. And this is kind of like in real life, I would say that that's kind of an asking price for a house like that here, like in where I live. That's done to the nines. And then this wallpaper, I just didn't like. I'm like, I could go in a lot better direction. So I did. Because I was like, this is just, this is not it. Because sometimes I'm like, is this vinyl worthy? Is this it? And I'm like, nah, I can do better. So there's our closets. It's so exciting, like to be able to think of being able to have that many closets and that much storage. So I just wanted to make this the blowout bedroom, like huge. A lot of space, a lot of room, change up the rugs, add in like a seating area a little bit, and just kind of give it a lot of fun and flair. Make it like an executive bedroom almost, you know? Woohoo! Okay, cool. Yeah, so now I'm getting into the last of the lighting here on this bit. I really like being able to utilize all the dormers that I can, because I think it's fun to be able to have that like, unique perspective that kind of gives it that even more realistic feel. So now I'm getting in the art, dressing the rest of this. I thought it'd be fun to give them a lot of amenity space, like maybe they're a designer or they're like somebody that really is an enthusiast on home design, and they like wake up in the middle of the night and need somewhere to work. Like I feel like sometimes I'm like that, so I'll wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and jot it down, or go like think about it a little bit more and jot everything down, and then kind of, you know, come back to it when I'm like awake and alert and it's like, you know, time to work during the daytime. So but yes, sometimes I get good ideas in the middle of the night or whatever, and then I need a space to work and think about it. And so that's what I thought would be fun in this room, this bedroom. And then I get all these like chairs in and stuff, and I'm like, wait, there's not any real back door area. Oops. So that's where I end up coming in, tearing down some of the tables, taking some of that stuff out, and just popping in like a little side deck, nothing big, because I wanted plenty of space to be able to invite somebody off on into the yard in the back and towards like the grill and all that stuff. And I really love being able to make like really fun front yards, and really yards in general, but I really like being able to layer a lot of lighting and flowers and that kind of stuff. And kind of creating cohesive design on the whole backyard and kind of bringing that to the house, so it all just feels like it flows. Cool. So now I'm getting in our back, and my thinking is that this would be a later like afterthought idea after the house is complete anyway, because it's like something else that is sort of modern idea a little bit to have a pool and all that kind of stuff. So I thought maybe this would be an idea of, you know, where they could have maybe added this later. So now I'm just kind of working on the last bits, and I had to play with those to be able to get them in, because I couldn't like find it. I was having a hard time trying to locate where that was at first, and I'm like, oh heck. So I took a moment for that, and then got it. And finally, I was like, oh, finally I found this. But I went with a different color that wasn't really like noticeable right off, and then it wasn't on the like recently used items theme. So I was like, oh, which one did I have? And it wouldn't let me select it. And I was like, this is silly. So getting our little sunflower stuff in, getting all of our flowers on the front and side, getting the last little landscaping put in here. sunflowers popped in. And I mean, they're really not going to have a lot of people outside, I don't think, anywhere, or Sims outside anyway, so it's not like that you really have to worry about that too much with the spacing and seating we have in work. So I'm just taking a spin around and showing you guys what it looks like here at the end, and kind of letting you see kind of the different floors. So thanks again so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great day. Go out and do something magical and stay proud. Yes, see, there's this pin again, and you can look around one more time. Thank you. Yes, that's perfect. Cool. There you go. Down one more time. There you go. So thanks again so much, guys, for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.